We're all living in this always-on world, right? And it can leave our brains feeling completely, totally drained. But what if there were science-backed ways to actually recharge? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down the latest research on mental fatigue to find the most effective strategies for getting your focus, your energy, and your performance back on track. You know that feeling. Your focus is completely shot. Even simple tasks feel like climbing a mountain, and you're just running on empty. And look, it is not just you. This sense of burnout is becoming incredibly common, and it's really a direct result of a culture that pushes us to be constantly connected and productive. So, what is really going on inside our heads? So, let's start by framing the problem, because what we're talking about here isn't just a feeling of being tired. No, it's a widespread phenomenon that researchers are taking so seriously, they've actually given it a name. They're calling it the human energy crisis. And this term, which was highlighted in a 2022 study, it just perfectly captures how pervasive this struggle for mental energy has become. It's a formal recognition that our cognitive resources are finite, and for so many of us, they're running dangerously low. So, what's our first line of defense? Well, usually it's the quick break, right? A few minutes to step away and just reset. But how well do these so-called micro breaks actually work when we put them under the scientific microscope? First, let's get on the same page. When we say micro break, we're talking about any short pause you take between tasks that lasts for 10 minutes or less. So think, checking your phone, grabbing a coffee, or just staring out the window for a few moments. Okay, and this is where the science gets really interesting. A major meta-analysis found that microbreaks have a really positive effect on our well-being. They boost our sense of energy and reduce fatigue. But when it comes to our actual performance on tough, complex tasks, the effect wasn't significant at all. So, in short, they make you feel better, but they don't necessarily help you perform better. This leads us to a really, really crucial question. If those super short breaks aren't the magic bullet for performance, what happens when we take a longer break? And maybe more importantly, does it matter what we actually do during that time off? To figure this out, some researchers designed this really clever experiment. First, they totally wore out a group of students by having them do a demanding mental task for a full hour. So once everyone's brain was good and tired, they tested 4 different 25-minute recovery strategies. So what were the options? Well, it tested a power nap, a guided breathing exercise, and then for the control group, they just had people read comics. A high-tech nap versus a low-tech comic book. Which one do you think led to the best recovery? Well, the results were pretty fascinating because it turns out it didn't really matter. The recovery for all the groups, the nappers, the breathers, and the comic readers, was nearly identical. The sophisticated recovery techniques were no more effective at restoring mental performance than just kicking back with some comics. So the crucial point is this. The magic wasn't in what they did, but in the fact that they did it at all. The key to recovery was taking a real break and mentally disengaging from the hard work. The activity itself was way less important than the act of completely switching off. But hang on, what if the problem isn't just about the breaks you're taking? What if your brain is struggling for a much more fundamental and often completely overlooked reason? Let's talk about water. Think of hydration as the absolute foundational layer for your mental battery. The difference between a hydrated brain and a dehydrated one is just stark. When you're hydrated, your brain is quick, it's attentive, it's efficient. But when you're even a little bit dehydrated, reaction times slow way down, attention gets worse, and you are far more likely to make errors. And we can actually put a number on that decline. Research shows that even mild dehydration, we're talking just a 1 to 2% loss of body fluid, can cause an average drop of 15% in cognitive performance. I mean, that is a massive impact from something as simple as not drinking enough water. And just look at the real-world impact across different mental functions. In one study, the performance gap between the hydrated and dehydrated groups was crystal clear. The dehydrated group had lower memory scores, they took way longer on a problem-solving test, and they showed slower reaction times. The data just doesn't lie. Okay, so we've looked at the limits of microbreaks, the power of mental disengagement, and the absolutely critical role of hydration. Let's pull all of this research together into a simple, actionable toolkit you can use to manage your own mental energy. So here it is, your 4 key takeaways. Number 1, hydrate first. Your brain is mostly water. Performing while dehydrated is like trying to charge a broken battery. It just won't work. 2, use microbreaks for your well-being. They really are great for a quick mood boost. 3, For actual performance recovery, you have to truly disengage. That means a longer break, 20 minutes or more, doing something completely different. And finally, number 4, make it personal. The science shows the specific activity matters less than the disengagement, so pick whatever truly restores you. And this all leaves us with one final crucial thought. Most of us are so careful about planning our work, scheduling tasks, managing our time, but sustainable high performance isn't just about managing work, it's about managing energy. So the real question is this: are you being just as intentional about scheduling your recovery?